Imagine it's a Monday morning in September 2008. You walk out your front door, heading to a nearby ATM to grab some cash for your morning coffee. But something is wrong. The machine spits out an error. You try another one, and it is the exact same thing. And two words are plastered across every single screen: Lehman Brothers. A 158-year-old financial empire that survived the Civil War, two world wars, and the Great Depression officially declared bankruptcy that day. But this wasn't just about a few thousand Wall Street suits losing their jobs. Lehman's collapse was a gunshot to the heart of the global economy. For a few terrifying hours, banks worldwide stopped lending to each other. Money ceased to flow, and if the Fed had not stepped in, the balance in your bank account might have become nothing more than a completely meaningless string of zeros. Today, we are not talking about dry accounting spreadsheets. We are telling a story of greed and sheer stupidity, and how to gift wrap rotten lemons as solid gold diamonds. This is the anatomy of the scam that broke the world, the subprime crisis. To understand how Lehman went under, we first have to understand the American dream: owning a home. In the US, wanting a house without cash means you go to a bank. Scenario A, you have a steady job and a 750 credit score. The bank says, no problem, you're an A student. Here is a low interest rate. This is a prime loan. Scenario B, you have no steady income, maybe no job at all, and your credit score looks like it's been chewed up by a dog. In the old days, the bank would tell you to get lost. But in the early 2000s, the game completely changed. Bankers realized that as long as housing prices kept climbing, lending to people with no jobs, what we call subprime, was actually safe. Why? Because if they couldn't pay, the bank could just seize the house, sell it, and flip a profit. So Wall Street invented a stroke of genius alchemy. What is a CDO? The lemonade analogy. Imagine you run a fruit stand. You have a pile of fresh, juicy apples, prime loans, and a pile of half-rotten lemons, subprime loans. No sane customer is going to buy a rotten lemon. So, you take the apples and the lemons, toss them all into a blender, add some artificial flavoring and a ton of sugar, and pour it into a fancy, expensive-looking bottle, labeled as Ultra Premium Fruit Medley. On Wall Street, that bottle is called a CDO, also known as a collateralized debt obligation. The punchline: the rating agencies Moody's and S&P took one look at this bottle and said, the packaging is beautiful. We will give it a AAA rating, the highest grade possible. Let's talk about the gambler, Dick Fuld. In this juice party, Lehman Brothers wasn't just a waiter. They were the biggest gamblers at the table. Lehman's CEO was Dick Fuld, nicknamed the Gorilla. He was fierce, hyper-competitive, and hated losing. He saw Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley making billions selling this juice, and he wanted in, big time. Lehman started borrowing insane amounts of money to buy these CDOs. This brings us to a word every American should know: leverage. Think of it like this. If you have $1, but you borrow $30 to bet on a $100 profit, that's 30-to-1 leverage. If you win, you're a king. But if the value of what you bought drops by just 3%, your $1 is gone, you are wiped out, you're bankrupt. By 2007, Lehman's leverage was a staggering 31-to-1. They were like a maniac at a poker table, with $100 in his pocket, betting $3,000 on a single hand. By late 2007, things started to go south. The Fed raised interest rates, and suddenly, the people with no jobs realized, I can't afford the monthly payments on these rotten lemons anymore. Massive defaults hit the fan. The fancy juice bottles were cracked open, and the stench of rot couldn't be hidden anymore. Investors worldwide had a holy crap moment. My AAA assets are actually trash. Lehman was holding tens of billions of dollars worth of this toxic garbage. They tried to sell, but nobody was buying. Lehman's stock price began to plummet like a stone. Wall Street assumed the government would bail them out, just like they did for Bear Stearns. But this time, Lehman's luck ran out. Friday night, September 12, 2008. Every heavy hitter on Wall Street was summoned to the Federal Reserve building. Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson gave them the cold truth. The government is not cutting a check. If you want to buy Lehman, talk now. There were two potential saviors, Bank of America and Barclays. But after a frantic weekend of negotiations, Bank of America walked away to buy Merrill Lynch instead. Barclays wanted in, but the British government blocked them, essentially saying we don't want America's trash exported to the UK. Dick Fuld sat in his office making desperate calls, but nobody picked up. His former friends and partners were treating Lehman like a plague. Sunday night, September 14th, the last deal collapsed. Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old institution, had no choice but to file for Chapter 11. Why the ATMs almost died. The foundation of the financial system is trust. Banks lend to each other every day to keep money moving. When Lehman died, every bank had the exact same thought. If a giant like Lehman can vanish, is the bank next door going to be here tomorrow? The lending stopped. This is what's known as a credit crunch. If banks have no money, companies can't pay employees, and ATMs stop spitting out cash. The gears of civilization simply grind to a halt. To prevent this apocalypse, the Fed was forced to turn on the money printers, a move we now know as QE, quantitative easing. After the collapse, Dick Fuld walked away, with nearly $500 million in total compensation. Not one high-ranking Wall Street executive went to jail for the Lehman disaster. The cost? Tens of millions of people saw their retirement accounts evaporate. Millions of Americans lost their homes. The world entered a brutal, years-long recession. This was the real-life Big Short. The people who saw the scam coming made a killing, while everyday people paid the tab for Wall Street's crazy party. Will history repeat itself? Just look at Silicon Valley Bank, or the new innovative financial products hitting the market today. Wall Street might change the packaging, but human greed never changes. Next time you hear about a guaranteed investment, just remember to ask, is there a rotten lemon hidden in here? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the belly of the beast, do not forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Next time, we're talking about another business genius who played the entire world for a fool. I'm the Puppet Master, and I'll see you in the next one.